Ms. Bailey, if you can, now state, are you ready? Just about. Okay, defense, are you ready?
This is ready.
Okay. Ms. Bailey, if you can call, just have the panel to come in and tell them they can sit in the same seats. Everyone, please stand as the jury panel comes in. Okay, you may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the panel, Ms. Glenda Segura is going to call your name. And when your name is called, you can have a seat in the jury box. There are some tags that are on top of the counter in the jury box. You can take a tag as you go to your seat. So at this time, Ms. Segura.
Lena Morris.
Lena Morris, would you please come forward?
Stephen Beasley.
Stephen Beasley.
Travis Shaw's.
Travis Shaw's.
Tammy Fogarty.
Tammy Fogarty.
Brandon Scott.
Brandon Scott.
Charles Durio.
Charles Durio.
Anna Zarzosa.
Annie Zarzosa. You can just take one of those tags. But everyone in the jury box, would you please put your tags on? And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, at this time, I must administer to you the second of the two oaths that I mentioned to you earlier. So at this time, I need each and every one of you to raise your right hand. And then once I administer the oath, please say I do. Do each of you solemnly swear that in the case of the state of Texas versus Kenneth W. Baptiste, you will a true verdict render according to the law and the evidence, so help you God? Please say I do. Okay, you may put your hands down. Members of the jury, I will give you some instructions and a general idea of what to expect in this case. Every case is composed of facts and the law as it applies to the particular case. The facts come from the witnesses on the witness stand. The law comes from the statutes, codes, rules, and court decisions interpreting them and how they may apply to this case. You and I have equal authority in this case, but it is divided authority. You are the sole judges of the facts, and I am the sole judge of the law. You are the sole judges of the credibility of the witnesses and the weight to be given their testimony. You can believe all of what a witness says, part of what a witness says, or none of what a witness says. As the trial progresses, the attorneys will probably make objections to questions asked by the other attorney of witnesses or objections to the introduction of documents or objects. This means that in the objecting attorney's opinion, there is a legal reason why the testimony or document or object should not be received by you. Sometimes I will simply sustain or overrule the objection. At other times, it may require a lengthy discussion outside of your presence. If that happens, I will either ask you to step outside for a few minutes or ask the attorneys to come up to the bench so that you can't hear the discussion on the point of law. The reason for that is, as I told you earlier, you are the sole judges of the facts you receive, and I'm the sole judge of the law. I can't be with you in the jury room when you deliberate the facts. Therefore, you can't be present or within hearing when I deliberate questions of law. The reason why I will sometimes ask you to step outside is because it is simply the most efficient way to do it. Otherwise, if we were to leave the courtroom, the court reporter would have to gather her equipment and take it with her. The attorneys would have to gather their files, etc. The rulings I do make on questions of law in your presence are not evidence, and you are to disregard them. After all the evidence is in, and both the state and the defendant have rested their cases, the court will prepare and submit to you a written charge instructing you on the law in this case. We will then hear oral arguments from the attorneys. The attorneys have the right to make a summation of the evidence and to make a reasonable deduction from that evidence. Since the state has the burden of proof, it has the right to open and close the summation or argument. Until you retire to deliberate, do not discuss this case amongst yourselves, and under no circumstances should you permit anyone to discuss the case with you. Do not attempt to learn from any source outside of the courtroom anything about the facts of this case, nor attempt any independent investigation on your own. Don't visit the scene involved in the facts of the case. Don't read any reports in the newspapers or watch TV reports about the case. Do not make up your mind about this case until all the evidence is in and you have been instructed on the law. Don't take notes during the progress of the trial. Don't visit other courts during a break if a trial or other proceeding is in progress. The badges that you have been given, please wear those badges at all times because those badges identify you as a juror in this case. Ladies and gentlemen of the panel, those who were not selected as jurors in this case, first of all, I would like to thank you for taking time out from your busy schedules to be here this afternoon. Because the way the law is written, we only have a limited number of people that can be seated on the jury. And I know some of you wanted to sit on the jury, but as I mentioned, we only have a limited number of people that will be selected. Now, you did not waste your time if you're thinking that you wasted your time, because without people like you, we cannot, one, pick a jury, and two, we cannot make sure that justice is served. So on behalf of the citizens in Jefferson County, on behalf of the staff here in County Court at Law Number 2, I'd like to thank you for taking time out from your busy schedules to come here this afternoon. Now, anytime that you're in the courthouse, please feel free to have a seat in your courtroom. Now, you noticed I said your courtroom. I know that when you came to court this afternoon and you looked over the top of the door and you said, oh, this is County Court at Law Number 2. This is Judge Holmes' court. Well, no, this is not my court. I'm only a public servant servicing the citizens of Jefferson County, and you are the citizens of Jefferson County. So anytime that you would like to come and have a seat in County Court at Law number 2, which is your courtroom, please feel free to come and have a seat in County Court at Law number 2. Now, you can sit in that area that you're currently sitting in it. We call that the peanut gallery. It does not mean that you can bring peanuts in here and eat, because this is not the Texas Roadhouse. But you can come and have a seat in your courtroom and see what goes on, and I'm sure you'll find it very interesting. Now, it's my understanding that the state is going to present its case, start testimony on tomorrow at 1:30. If you would like to come back and have a seat in the courtroom, you can. If not, you can watch it on YouTube, because we are on YouTube. So again, at this time, I'd like to thank you for your time and attention. And normally I give everyone a handshake, but we still have COVID in our community. But I can give each and every one of you what I call an air handshake. So at this time, I'm going to give everyone an air handshake. And thank you for coming out to County Court at Law number 2. Now, our bailiff, Ms. Williams, she have letters for you. You can read the letters. You like to make a comment, you can drop us a line, because we always like to hear from the jurors in this case. So at this time, you're excused. If you need anything from an excuse or anything, we have a court administrator, receptionist, who is behind the blue doors. As soon as you walk out here to your left, you can go down the hall. She'll be able to give you an excuse. But if you need something else, you can go across the hall to the district clerk's office. Now, everyone is here, even though you have not been selected to serve on this jury, you will receive payment for your jury service. So at this time, you're excused, and everyone, please have a blessed day. Okay, y'all may be seated. Okay, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, as I stated earlier, the state is going to start its case with the testimony on tomorrow at 1:30. And just for a brief overview of what's going to happen on tomorrow, the state is going to read the information. The information, as I mentioned to you earlier, is like an indictment, but we call it an information in a misdemeanor case. This is a charging instrument. And so the state is going to read the charging instrument, and the defense is going to enter his plea to the charging instrument. They can enter a plea guilty or not guilty. If he enters a plea of not guilty, then the state will, and the defense will have what we call an opening statement. Basically, the opening statement, they're going to give you an outline of what to expect the evidence is going to show in the case. And then after the opening statements are made, the state will call its witnesses. Okay, so at this time, we would ask that each and every one of you be back tomorrow at 1:30. Make sure that you are sitting outside in the hallway, and then the bailiff is going to get you promptly at 1:30, unless we have some hearings or something outside of your presence. But they're going to call you in, and then we'll start promptly at 1:30. So at this time, the court will be in recess on this case until 1:30 tomorrow afternoon. Everyone, please stand as the jury exit the courtroom. And you can take your badges home and wear them back. Okay, Court will be in recess until 1:30 on tomorrow. Let me see. You're welcome.